Have you ever heard of this thing called Google Jail, where your website gets all locked up and they disable your business profile and you spend hours and hours trying to get Google to allow you back on their platform? Have you ever wondered how to prevent that from happening? Well, we're going to be talking about that today. Welcome to the Key Hire Small Business Podcast, where we cover the issues that help owners scale their small business. I'm Corey Harlock, creator of Key Hire Solutions, and I'm going to be your host today. Our guest today is Sean Boyle. He's the managing partner of Momentum 360, which is a premier small business and real estate marketing company. Just talking in the green room, he said he's having a great year, and he's a lover of MMA. I guess he's in Philly because he's a Philly sports fan. Only someone from Philly would admit they're a Philly sports fan. And he's a big health and fitness guy. So Matt, let's bring him in. You got to be in Philly, right?
Oh, of course. No better city in the world, man.
It was, I think I've told this story on the podcast before, but one of the things on my bucket list is to go see we're huge Calgary Flames fans, and it's to go see a hockey game in every arena in the NHL with me and my son. And so one of the cities we went to was Philadelphia. And they were playing the Flames. It was like a Tuesday night game. And man, we were like, should we wear our jerseys? We've heard Philly fans are horrible. And then I came to the conclusion, I'm like, it's not a rivalry game. It's a Tuesday night. I think we'll be okay. And so a couple of things happened. While we're sitting in our hotel room, I get a phone call from the Philadelphia Flyers. And a lady on the other end goes, is this Corey Harlock? I said, yeah. And she said, did you fly in for the game tonight from Houston, Texas? I said, I did. And she goes, oh, that's amazing. I'm going to come down and see you at the second intermission. I have a gift bag for you. I have your seat number here. I'll come and see you. She said, and it's okay if you go up to the concourse, I'll just leave the gift bag in your seat. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, even if she doesn't show up, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So part of our thing is we always go early and stand by the glass, and my son tries to get pucks, right? So we're down by the glass. He's wearing his Johnny Gaudreau jersey, and this kid looks at him and goes, hey, are you a Gaudreau fan? And my son looks at me, and he looks at the kid, and he goes, I'm not going to answer your question. So I say to the kid, I'm like, why are you asking? And he goes, oh, his dad used to coach me in hockey. And I'm like, oh, so you're a Gaudreau fan? He goes, yeah, we love Johnny Gaudreau. I'm like, oh, awesome. So we're talking to this kid. And then we go up to the concourse to get something to eat. We're standing in line, kid behind us. Hey, are you a Gaudreau fan? My son turns around. Yeah, why? And he goes, his dad used to coach me in hockey. I'm like, Guy Gaudreau coached every kid in Philadelphia how to play hockey, apparently. But they were big fit. Like, that was his dream to go play for Philly, apparently. But I don't know if you know what happened with him, but he was one of the NHL guys that was killed this summer, right? In that biking accident, a drunk driver hit him. So I actually have a signed jersey of his hanging right above this camera right now. But so our experience with Philly fans was they were amazing.
That's I wish I could say that for every sport and every single Philly fan.
And the one thing I didn't say was, so we're sitting there, the play goes on and a puck goes into the bench, right? And like we always sit right behind the bench, and we hear, hey, Calgary. And we look over, and the coach had reached and given the game puck to a guy in the Philly jersey, and he yelled at my son. My son looked at him and he threw him the game puck.
No way. Oh my God.
Yeah, they were amazing.
Incredible.
Philly, yeah. Now, if we were wearing Penguins jerseys, it might have been a different story.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
Cool. So
that's incredible, man. Philly fans are notoriously a little nuts, as am I a little bit. But I will say, you go to a hockey game in Philly, and there's something about hockey, the sport. There's some sort of just mutual respect, I guess, right?
Yeah. Especially
with that player. So I'm not surprised to hear that. But that's an amazing story, man.
And it was before all that happened, right? I think Johnny was still playing for Calgary, but it was. So our experience in Philly was like, it's one of our favorite rinks. So
glad to have you back sometime.
Yeah, for sure. No problem. We actually liked the city. It was a lot of fun. So you tell us a bit about Momentum. It says that, you do like some video work and some photography work and stuff like that. Just give us a quick overview of that.
Yeah, for sure, man. And thanks for having me on this. Is fantastic. So Momentum, full service marketing agency, website, ads, social media, video production, virtual tours, the whole lot. And one of the newer services, Corey, that we actually stumbled upon, which is actually very valuable as we'll get into it, is actually reinstating these suspended business profiles. Because one of these things, unfortunately, yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man. Google, and I'll talk more about this, but they have an AI system that's essentially erroneously suspending these businesses. So blue collar, run of the mill, service area businesses, people that rely on this profile, they're getting it suspended, and they're losing thousands of dollars in revenue, and it's potentially putting them out of business.
Just because.
I mean, I'll take you back down memory lane. In 2015, what ended up happening was Google used to have a whole team, like an actual team in the Philippines. You can call them, you can email them. They're very, responsive, right?
Sure.
And, Corey, if you have like a plumbing business, right? Corey's Plumbing, whatever, we'll make some fictitious name out. You send a couple documents to them, the email, you pick up the phone, you call them. Hey, this is what I got. It's why am I suspended? They'll tell you the reason, and you fix it, and boom, you're all good, right? Takes a couple weeks. Fast forward 10 years ago from now, 2025, it's a little bit different, where they have a AI system, no humans, no support system, right? And it's suspending these businesses and verifying, oh, is this business correct? Is this business not correct? So it's obviously not 100% legitimate. And it's a lot of people frustrated. So it's completely, it's nonsense. It is really what it is. It's crazy.
So I get probably at least once a month, sometimes twice a month. It's like, hey, you're not in compliance. Here are the errors on your website. And I forward those to Matt. And then magically my site has, not that it's a huge generator for us, but it's never been suspended. So we always like to start with definition. So when we talk about Google jail, and you kind of talked around the edges of there, but what is Google jail? What are you referring to?
So Google jail is when you have a suspended Google business profile. If you were to Google, if you're hungry and you want Mexican food, you Google best Mexican restaurants near me. You have a beautiful establishment, bunch of reviews, pictures, photos. That's what I'm talking about. I think a lot of people listening know what a Google business profile is. But when you're in Google jail, that's when the business profile is actually suspended and it's not visible anymore, Corey, which is crazy. So as you can imagine, they're losing a lot of these local customers because they can't be found, which is really crazy. So people are losing out on so much revenue. And it's actually, honestly, I hate to say this, putting out a lot of businesses simply because they're not generating enough revenue to keep the lights on.
Right. Because, when you Google search best lawn service in my hometown or best Mexican food, these people are working really hard to get their ranking and to go and ask their customers, if you like the service, please give us a review. And to my knowledge, those are the things that drive them up the page, correct? By doing all these little things, putting their store hours in, you're putting pictures, having people post pictures, having people leave reviews. These are all drivers of your ranking or how you get to the top of the page in those searches, right?
Exactly. And I'll provide a really thorough checklist, but getting reviews, posting images and photos and responding to reviews, those are all really good things to do to ultimately increase your ranking locally, to your point. Yeah.
Okay. And what about paid? So if your business goes into Google jail and you're also running a paid campaign, does that affect your paid campaign?
It's crazy, man. So what actually happens is there's two different types of ads. There's the Google local service ads, which is a pay per lead model. So if you don't get any leads, you don't pay. And then there's regular Google.
Is that a PPC, like pay per click? If someone clicks on it, then you pay for it? Or is that what you're talking about, leads?
Exactly. Yeah. So the first option is a pay per lead platform. And the second option, to your point, is a PPC, a pay per click model. So if you're getting clicks, if you're getting impressions, then you have to pay. So the local service ads, the pay per lead platform, as you can imagine, is much more efficient and much more advantageous to actually grow a business profile.
So how do you, hold on. I told you I was going to interrupt you here.
Yeah.
So how do they track the pay per lead then?
So
they can't use the system.
Yeah, for sure. I wish it was. So they actually have like a portal that people can go to. I think the URL is something like, I'll have to check, but it's, local, it's ads.google.com/local services or something like that. So they have their own dedicated portal. But the thing to note is if you have a suspended Google business profile, which is an organic thing, you're not able to do the local service ads because that's a paid thing. And you actually need to connect your business profile to that LSA profile. So it's, yeah.
So I was just worried, or not worried, but I was trying to connect the dots because I was wondering, and I'm sure other people were like, so if my little thing on the side of the page doesn't show up, how does that affect my business? But now we're seeing how if your lead generation is Google ads to your business profile, to a sign up page, whatever it is, as soon as they put that profile in jail, meaning make it invisible to people, once that happens, you can't do leads. You can't advertise anymore as that business either. So it really shuts down that whole mechanism. It like the whole hub and spoke, it shuts everything down.
It's essentially flicking the first domino to a train wreck of unfortunate events to come, Corey. That's really what it is. It sets up everything for disaster. So, and it's frustrating because as you can imagine, people that are local service businesses, like that's the majority of their revenue. They're not getting 100%. Leads on social media. They're not getting leads. I mean, maybe some of them are on their website, but they don't know SEO. They don't know how to make blog pages and all this stuff. The average, solopreneur. So yeah, it's a total crapshoot, man. It really is, unfortunately.
Now, does that affect their standing with other sites where people might go to? Man, some of them are escaping me, but there's,
like your Yelps of the world.
Exactly. Like the aggregators, like would that now affect my ability to advertise on Yelp or my ratings on Yelp or anything like that?
It's a good question. So normally those local citations, as we'll call them, right? The Angie's Lists of the world, the Yelps of the world, they actually are like a secondary and tertiary ranking compared to the Google business profile, which is ultimately number one. So there's not much relation. If there's a suspended business profile, the Yelp page should still be intact, although that can get suspended too. All the other citations for the most part, right, are going to be intact. But the business profile on Google is the cream of the crop. So that's the biggest thing to take advantage of. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So I think we've defined clearly what Google Jail is and how kind of the implications of landing there. So we always like to move to the mistakes. So what are the other than the algorithm just autonomously shutting you down for no reason? What are the things that you could neglect to do, fail to do, or do without knowing that would put your business profile in jeopardy?
How much time you got?
we got as much as we need.
I was going to say I'll be here for a couple of days. I mean, the couple of things. Yeah, seriously, more ways than one. So a couple of things to note is outside of what you just said, Google erroneously, waving a magic wand and suspending it for no reason. There's multiple ways where someone can make a mistake and have a business profile be suspended. So the first one is editing their name. If they are a plumbing business and they try to add in like the words near me, best plumbing in a certain area, trying to essentially game the system so they rank higher because they'll have that
phone book hack, like the AAA plumbing, whatever. Because right, I don't even know if you remember phone books, but is all alphabetical, right? So you'd name your company AAA Plumbing, so you'd show up when you skip through, you'd be the first plumber.
That's exactly right, man. Other than that, changing like pertinent information, so changing the phone number a lot, changing the hours of operation a lot, and just this unusual activity in the eyes of Google, that's really what gets triggered. And there's actually 3 businesses, Corey, that are kind of like on the Google dark list, so to speak. So number 1 is locksmiths, right? Kind of, I mean, it's one of those things where I think it's a very legitimate business, but in the eyes of Google, it's hard to prove sometimes that it is because they don't have a quote unquote office space. A lot of these people, they work from home. They have a residential address, which Google doesn't like. They want to have a commercial office, a commercial address.
Okay.
So you can't put that you can't put a residential address on Google. That's a big no-no as well. Second thing is a garage door company. Huge red flag. For whatever reason, that's on Google's dark list.
I
And the
think
third
both of those you mentioned, it's like inviting people to come and break into your house.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? If you're like a nefarious locksmith, you come, I change your locks, I make a copy of the key, and now I know where you live. I've been in your house. I know what you have. Same with your garage door opener. I program an extra garage door opener for myself. I come back and away we go.
Yeah, and to your point, Google's probably a little oversensitive with that, but for you and me, man, I mean, listen, if we need to call a locksmith and do what we got to do, they're a legitimate business.
For sure. Yeah. Oh, I'm not slagging with locksmiths. I'm just thinking I'm sure there are people who have thought, well, this is a great idea. They throw up a job on Google, someone sees them, calls them, and now something bad happens in they call Google, and they're like, hey man, what's going on?
Yeah.
I use you to find these guys.
Exactly. Right. That's a really good point. And the third one is actually a residential cleaning business. So you'll note all three of these niches include a residential home address, which is a no-go, no-fly zone. Don't
really
pass go, don't collect $200. Like use a Monopoly analogy. That's a no-no. So if you have a residential business and you're putting that on Google and you have an active Google business profile, say your rosary, say your prayers, you probably will be suspended in the future. And I'll talk later on in the show kind of how to prevent that and to, some things to do. But that's really what to look out for in terms of the mistakes, Corey.
And I think what you were getting at with those three businesses, they're largely solopreneurs, people that are just working out of their house doing that. So they have a business that is dealing with access to other people's homes, and they have this non-corporate address. They have a residential address. So they're like, this doesn't add up. Am I on the right track?
100%. Yes.
Okay. What other mistakes? So we got the residential address. What else we got?
Google will, a lot of the times when a business profile is suspended, we get a lot of calls. They'll give a message, a very broad message of illicit content. That's what Google says, illicit content. Well, what does that even mean? If you go to the business profile settings, there's a huge amount of guidelines, and it could be anything from taking a phone number in like a graphic and using that, as silly as that is. You think you would be able to use a graphic with your own phone number. I don't know why that's the rules we play with Google. It's kind of ridiculous if you ask me. I don't know why, it's not like you're giving out private information to somebody else. Like that's the number that the business is associated with. It's kind of crazy. All the way from illicit, XXX content kind of stuff, like, which is very crazy to even say that, but that's in the Google guidelines. So illicit content's a very broad vertical with a lot of other sub niches of what exactly that means. So your audience can honestly just go to Google business profile policy violations, just Google that. And it's like a Shakespeare book. You're going to need a couple hours to read through it. It's pretty thorough, but, and then
it ranges from putting your phone number incorrectly to putting X-rated content and everything in between.
Everything in between. Everything in between. It's crazy, man. It's like the Wild West out here. It's, I could, rant. I digress, but it's a shame. It really is a shame. It's way too strict and sensitive. Yeah.
Okay. And what else? What other mistakes? Let's go from the context. I'm new business, and because we don't. I guess what we're trying to discourage is any business owners out there saying you got to don't do all these things, so they rush and they make a million changes to their profile, because I'm suspecting that could land them in jail in itself, just like going and doing a massive update to your profile.
Yeah. So I'll give your audience three things that they can do if you're a solopreneur, business, entrepreneur, and you want to obviously, keep your profile intact. So the three things are, number one, you want to make sure information's correct. Your business name, hours of operation, phone number, make sure you don't change that. Make sure it's, legitimate, the same. That's what you need to do. Make sure all your information is consistent across the board with your Google profile, and don't make any changes to that, because once you put that in there, and if you change it, you jeopardize being suspended, unfortunately. Okay. Second thing is you want to make sure your business documents match what it says on Google. So you want to make sure the phone number is correct. Is your LLC or S Corp, whatever you're filed as a business, is it the same name on the Google business profile as is the business license or DBA, stuff like that, right?
Okay.
So you want to make sure your business could be insurance document. It could be a DBA, like I mentioned, a business license. It could be a client invoice that you send to people, right? Make sure all that information is uniform and consistent. That's number two. And then number three thing, and this might actually surprise a lot of people, is you want to make sure all of your, like I kind of just mentioned earlier, your posts, your graphics, the reviews that you get and respond to, you want to make sure you're not quote unquote gaming the system. So what does that even mean? What does gaming the system means? That means artificially inflating keywords so you can rank higher on Google. So for instance, Corey, if you left me a review, I did a plumbing job for you, right? If I responded to that review and then said something along the lines of, oh, thanks for rating us as the best plumbing company in Quebec, Canada, or Alberta, Canada, whatever, that could flag Google because you're essentially trying to game the system. The review is going to get indexed on Google and you could essentially rank higher. And that's a
number in whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a total no-no in the eyes of Google, which again, you might think, and listen, 10 years ago, you could have gotten away with it, but now they're getting a lot stricter. They're trying to have the information be a little bit more authentic. So those are the three things. Do that, and I can guarantee, I don't want to guarantee anything, but I'd be highly confident that your profile is going to be restored and reserved. So it's not going to get suspended.
Okay. So you walked through some of the mistakes that you could make. Did you have any more to add to that list? Any more of the mistakes?
That's pretty much it.
Simple stuff. Like I know I get an email kind of before a holiday saying, do you need to update your hours for the holiday weekend or anything like that? How important is it to be involved with that? Like to go make a change to your hours or something like that?
If Google sends you a direct email and it's like, hey, it's Easter, it's a certain holiday, do you need to change your hours? Then yes, that's definitely appropriate. You want to make sure you're changing your hours because, hey, if you're, closing a day early or you're changing your hours, you need to update that. But changing your hours very frequently, that is going to be a red flag with Google. So it's kind of a tightrope to walk, Corey. Sure. But that's kind of what my best answer to you, honestly.
Okay. So I land in jail.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Pray.
And then what?
Outside of praying, there's multiple things you can do. So what you can do is go to business.google.com. That is the actual dashboard where you see your entire profile. You can add photos, add videos, change your information, whatever it is.
Matt, can you throw that URL up there just as he's talking? So if anyone's watching this and they didn't catch it.
Awesome. Yeah. Business.google.com. Perfect. And then what you can do is you're going to get, hey, your business profile is suspended. You'll get a notification. And then there's going to be a highlighted thing where it says learn more. You want to click learn more. And then you'll have a Google website where you're actually able to file an appeal. So this is where all those documents that I mentioned before in the show come in play, because now it's going to match the correct information to what you have on your account. So there's a very high likelihood that you're actually going to be able to reinstate the profile pretty quickly, which is nice. So on the appeal, it's a big blue button. You can't miss it. You'll scroll about to the middle of the page, hit appeal, and you'll fill out your information, what's your name, number, email, all that stuff. And then it's actually going to ask you to upload all these business documents, right? You'll upload the business documents, you'll click appeal, and then it is actually processed with their support team that they have in the Philippines, which is like a third-party company, which I can get to that in a second. It's pretty crazy, but they'll be the ones who are reviewing it, not an American company, which is pretty frustrating, but they'll review it. It's going to take anywhere from about 2 to 8 weeks. So I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but that's kind of what the reality is. And then your profile is going to get reinstated from there. So that is what you can do. The other two things, Corey, that you can do is below the page, below the actual appeal page, there's a contact us form where you can actually submit, like another email to Google. And then the second thing you can do directly to the right of the contact us button is where you can actually post to the community forum, where I will say, hand to God, Google employees actually chime in on certain cases. So it is pretty helpful. It's not as consistent as I would like. I don't want to say, hey, you're going to make a post, and the Google employee is going to get back to you. Like,
right.
It needs to pick up a little bit of steam and momentum. But that's kind of what you can do. Those are the three options you can do to reinstate.
And then you send it down the black hole and you wait.
Yes, you wait, and you try to have all the documents as best you can. And sometimes what actually happens, Corey, is Google will approve you. And then what you'll need to do is take your phone, take an Android, and actually business verification video to show that, hey, if you're a Mexican restaurant, right? Do you have a storefront? Let's see the actual establishment, right? So you'll take a video of the actual area, the signage. You'll go into the restaurant. Maybe you'll check out some menus, and maybe you'll have your DBA and insurance document where you can actually show that with your phone. And that's something that a lot of the times actually happens with those kind of restaurants.
Really?
And commercial businesses. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. So
it is. It sounds incredibly impersonal and incredibly invasive.
Extremely.
Crazy.
Almost too much. Yeah.
All right. So we have some people listening thinking, oh, crap, I rely pretty heavily on my Google business profile. And you kind of went through a couple of things, but as a business owner wanting to maintain good standing in Google, walk us through, kind of maybe get a little deeper in some of the things you talked about before, or if there's anything else, like what are your top 3 to 5 pieces of advice you would give a business owner about keeping that profile in good standing?
For sure. The first thing I'll say is if you currently have a residential address that's on your business profile, you need to change that immediately. What you can do is go to your local Regis, your WeWork. There's other third-party sites too where you can actually get a commercial address where you can receive mail. You want to get that, buy it. I think it's like $50 a month or something like that. And people are like, oh, why do I want to pay $50 a month? Well, it's going to preserve the account because, like I mentioned earlier in the show, Corey, Google doesn't like residential addresses as the commercial business address.
Right.
So That's what I would do. Buy that. It's a huge investment. $50, what is that? $600 a year. That is peanuts compared to the amount of losses you could have for your business. That's the first thing I would say is change that residential address. Second thing is you want to just read all the policies on Google. Don't make any crazy changes to the name, like I mentioned. Don't make any crazy changes to the hours. Don't make any crazy changes to your business description. Don't try to keyword stuff. That's a direct violation. I know a lot of business owners out there are very antsy to get, clients, especially if they're new. You got to do things the correct way. Rome wasn't built in a day, as the saying goes. You want to do the right thing and build momentum, no pun intended, slowly but surely. That's honestly what I would recommend.
So Sean, just to go to that, let's say I put that business profile up there and my description, but my business has evolved and maybe I have a better way to describe it. How would I go about updating that information without getting into trouble?
I think the easiest way to answer that is you want to just use natural language. If it sounds like it's keyword stuffing, if it sounds like something like, if I was to say, using a plumbing example, join Corey's Plumbing. We're the best plumbing service. The highest rated plumbing service in Alberta, Canada. Just those phrases are going to trip up Google. So what you want to do is try to make it a little bit more neutral and maybe say something like, we've been serving the Alberta area for 20 years, something along that nature, where you're not kind of like putting in those like Googleable phrases. To me, I'll be very honest, I would, if you're one of the highest rated companies, why not flaunt that, right? But again, it's Google's being very controlling. So that's kind of where it gets a little wonky.
So if I had to weigh it down, like updating my profile in like that description, or just kind of saying, I'm okay with it not being exactly what it is these days, but I want to maintain my rank, what would you do?
The best thing that I would do is audit and see if you even need to change the description in the first place. If it reads well, if it's exactly what you do, and as a saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? So if it's fine, keep it the same. If you do want to change it, what I would recommend is try to find synonyms, try to find just natural language to the actual description, and perhaps change a sentence a week. That's what I would recommend. Don't try to change, because on the description, you have 750 characters to play with, right? So maybe not changing the full 750 characters, but maybe changing a sentence every single week, being very methodical and very careful. There's a very low likelihood that you'll get suspended if you do that method.
Yeah. All right, cool. Sorry, I cut you off. You had some other pieces of advice.
No, you're fine. I appreciate it. It's good to be this thorough, because a lot of people, they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. But it's good to kind of, be in the weeds on this. It's really, really important, actually. Third thing I would say is, make sure if you're posting graphics, they're not showing any like sensitive information in the eyes of Google. Sensitive information could be a phone number, it could be an email address, which is crazy to me. It's literally crazy. It's your own business. You should be able to promote it, but that's what Google doesn't want. If you're a plumbing business, might I suggest actually posting photos of the work being done, posting videos of the work being done, maybe shaking hands with clients, maybe, just that kind of stuff instead of those graphics. That's honestly what I would recommend.
So restaurants can show pictures of their food or people in their restaurant and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's frustrating, because in that same breath, a restaurant, a lot of the times, I'm sure we've all, been to a lot of places where we've seen like a graphic design of like, hey, this week's special, right? Here's our soup and whatnot. And what do? You post a phone number, you post a website. So it's a little frustrating for sure, but you want to get rid of those pieces of information, and I'd be pretty confident that you won't be suspended. So
so stick to like the real life stuff and not graphics, not stuff you're generating.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And a couple other things I would say too is, I found a lot of success from interacting on the community forum. So get your hands dirty. Get in there if you're a business owner and you're worried about touching something. Google, I will say, as unhelpful as they are with their support system with reinstating businesses, Corey, they are just as helpful, I will say, with the community page. Google employees interacting, business owners that are interacting. It's actually a really cool thing. They're all coming together, all trying to just kind of salvage their profile. So meet people, get your hands dirty. I'm sure there's a lot of people, if you're a restaurant, if you're a plumbing business, you'll find businesses that are just like you, that have very similar services, just maybe in different areas. And you kind of get to know, hey, here's what you need to do. And here's kind of the whole process to actually, restoring or keeping and maintaining your business profile.
Very cool. That's super interesting information. I'm glad we did this, because it's a niche thing, but there's got to be business owners that are listening out there that are those neighborhood businesses, and they're trying to pick up some tips and how to better serve their community and have more success in their community, so they can employ people and make sure they get their bills paid and live a good life and all that stuff. So I think it's super valuable. Sean, if there's people listening out there and they're thinking, man, I want to learn more about what you do or more about how to utilize Google or utilize your marketing services, how do we get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you just want to go to momentumvirtualtours.com. That's where you can essentially contact us. And I don't want to sell anyone. I really, if you don't have to opt into one of our packages, you don't have to. I want to help people save money, grow their business. We will give you a totally free audit if you have a suspended business profile, show you exactly what you can do yourself without needing our help. And then God forbid, if you need additional support, we'll always be there.
Very cool. Any other way to get in touch with you, Matt? Do we have any other contact, LinkedIn or anything? There we go. Connect with you on LinkedIn.
There you go. Hit me with a message. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed the conversation. I think it was super valuable.
Thank you so much, Corey. I appreciate it, brother.
Go Birds.
Go Birds, baby.
All right. Talk to you later. There he is, Sean Boyle. That was really interesting. And as I mentioned before, I'm really glad we did that, because we've never done anything on Google. And I think it was a great topic to cover. I'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Key Hire Small Business Podcast. If you got value out of today's episode and you want to keep up to date on our content, subscribe, like, follow, share it with a friend who you think might find it interesting. leave me a comment. Let me know if there's a topic you'd like us to cover. We're here to help you. If you prefer to listen to your podcasts, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, or whatever your favorite platform is. Just search up the Key Hire Small Business Podcast. Thanks for listening. I'm Corey Harlock, and until next time, stop grinding, start growing.